Hello guys and welcome to today's video. Today we're back with 8.2.4 walkthrough and easy path boss. So this will just be, as you guys have seen with all of my walkthroughs and all of 8.2 so far, be the run through of the easiest path of say 8.2.4 for example, which is this video, the easiest boss to take on, good counters, and just the nodes and how to play them. So there's quite a few nodes on here which actually benefit you as the player, which is really nice. The one in particular is life transfer. I actually really enjoy this this node because it just means if you ever make a mistake or you've gone wrong, it means that you're then able to sort of regen quite a lot of health. So what do these champs have? First of all, they have Invade. So both champions have 100% block penetration. So you can see hit just on screen as I say that. Look how hard Civil Warrior hits into Gallon. He loses about 20% health per hit. So you've got to be wary on that. If you're going to parry, make sure you do it really well. But you also have 300% increased attack into block. So basically, it ends up doing a ton of damage into your block. That's why you won't see me here doing too many parry heavies, or I won't let them hit into the block. It's a lot of intercepts, or I do parry heavy just to get that health back. The reason that parry heavy is really effective here is although you take quite a bit of damage from the them hitting into your block, there is heavy assault. So both champions have 500% increased attack on their heavy attacks, but if the defender does heavy attack, that is unstoppable, so just be wary of that. But it does mean that you're able to regen so much health through the life transfer because you're doing so much damage. And the life transfer you do take 2% direct damage, but you get 125% of the damage done regen. So if you're doing massive heavies, you're obviously regenning a lot of that damage that you've done, and then you're basically going back to 100% each time, especially if you've got someone like Herc or someone like Magneto who's sort of doing heavy attacks is really effective, and you can do quite big damage for them. Other nodes on here, so we've obviously gone through the Evade, Heavy Assault, Life Transfer. There's Transducer, so you do get more power when you hit the defender, but if you stay near the defender, you do lose lose power. This node is annoying because it's linked there with Languir, I don't know how that is pronounced, where if your power hits 0, you take 240% of your attack as direct damage. So this is quite similar to the, I believe, the Scorpion EOP, where you can't, if you get to 0 power, you take quite a lot of you take a lot of damage. So here you want to avoid SP3s, because SP3s mean you take obviously that big amount of damage. Or if you are willing to throw an SP3, make sure that you have a high bar of power before you throw it, just so that you can quickly sort of do a ton of damage, and it sort of helps you out there. So you can see there I went to 15% health with Null, threw a heavy attack back to 100. It's sort of the joy of playing this one. This is actually one of the more fun ones in my opinion. I think it's actually a pretty good path, very easy. The champs on it aren't too difficult. Maybe the hardest one is Guardian on the first 3, and then on the second 3 you're probably looking at that Black Panther Civil War, just because he is constantly reflecting that stun, so either taking somebody who's stun immune or who basically takes off his armors and that reflective armor, so that he isn't able to reflect that stun to you, which again is really annoying. So the key here really is to throw a lot of heavy attacks, because that's where all the damage is done. Hit into the block, because again that's where you can do 300% increased attack and 100% block penetration, and just make that allows you a heavy attack right in the end, allows you to get up to 100% health. And you can see I've done 3 fights, I'm on 100% health on each champ. It's going really well. I would recommend maybe bringing someone for this Iceman, although the cold snap's not that big of an issue because one heavy attack and you can regen it. I did bring Warlock. Looking back, it probably wasn't that necessary, because one heavy attack with Null or Hercules, I was able to regen the health I would have lost to his initial cold snap and frostbite. I would recommend trying to get this done before his buff comes out, because that buff may be a bit more annoying to fight against. I don't know the ins and outs of it yet. I have seen Crichton Mike's made a video that I do need to check out. But if you try and do it before the buff comes, just so that the fight is a little bit easier than it might be after the buff. They're all the nodes for this path. Good champs to use. champs like Hercules, who do big heavies. Magneto is another one. Valkyrie and Masacre will be massive for this path because they obviously benefit from hitting into the block. Someone like Hulkling again is also someone who has those pierces who can do a lot of damage into the block. Valkyrie is probably your main one. She'll do an absolute ton of damage. Masacre's SP2 will do so much damage as well. So if you've got him leveled up, ranked up, then is definitely somebody that you want to bring in. Again, Hercules works. Most champs work. Null works. Obviously, you can build up those corruptions and then chuck them out. So that's really effective. Just champs who sort of have big heavies so that you can constantly do loads of damage, and then the path is very easy. The only thing I would say is with this Hulkbuster in particular, if he throws his, because of the big block penetration and attack, if he throws his SP2 into your block, it will kill you. That's how I died on my first attempt of this path. So you really just want to try and keep him to 1 bar of power. If you do go to 2, then the chances are you probably will die. Believe me, I did it quite a few times by accident. But yeah, you really got to be careful that you don't throw him to that SP2, otherwise he will do an absolute ton of damage. Other champs who will be quite effective for this, just going back to that part, is the new Hulk buff. If you've got a long stun, it means you can get lots of heavies off in time, meaning you can do a ton of damage, as you can see there with Hercules having enough to sort of do plenty. The good thing with Hercules in this one is that you saw there he threw his SP2, but if I did get hit, I was going to go immortal. So that was actually really effective for me, as didn't have to worry too much about his SP1. Hulkbuster is quite willing to throw his SP1, so I would definitely say not to worry too much about it and just get just try and get as many heavy attacks in there, and you'll finish this quite quickly. So that's basically it. This fight here and the Hulkbuster fight are probably the two hardest ones. I would be quite aware of this fight, as you can obviously reflect stuns. He is going unstoppable on his heavy attacks, so it's just about being careful. Maybe try pushing him to his SP2 because it's easy to dex. Once you've done that, this shouldn't be a fight that's too tricky, especially if you've got Hercules, or if you haven't, a Valkyrie would be really good for this, like I said, or any of the champs like that. So let's jump into the Masacre boss fight. I'll leave you with the rest of this fight here, and then, yeah, we'll jump into that fight, talk about that, and yeah, so this fight is now over. Let's jump into the Masacre boss fight. So what are the nodes on him? Does he have any really tricky ones? I would first with that say he doesn't. This Masacre is actually more annoying due to his own sort of personal special attacks than he is the nodes. The nodes on here he has are Biohazard. So obviously you want to try and bring in somebody who's dual immune. Omega Red would be really good for this path because obviously he gets class advantage. He's Biohazard. He'd be really, really useful. You've also got any of the robots, or somebody who's just immune to bleed, and just make sure you don't hit into his block. That can serve you quite well. He's also got Palette Cleanser, which is more of an interesting one, where every time either you or Masacre get a bar of power, he gains a cleanse passive for 5 seconds. You can either outweight that passive or keep it. This will obviously just cleanse any debuff that he gets on him, whether it be stuns, bleeds, obviously any debuff. So just got to be wary of that. If you do try and stun, parry heavy him and he hits you, or he cleanses it and then hits you, you will take an absolute ton of damage here. No Hit Mercy is also on here, so he gains a cruelty passive when knocked down, and that gives him 350% crit damage. This doesn't last too long. You can outweight it, but I would just be sort of a bit more careful, because you see there he hit into my block. This is obviously the first fight, so I do take it a bit more slower, try and understand, as I do tell you guys with every fight. Go in with a champ you're not too fussed about dying, just so you can get used to it, and then if they do a good job, that's ideal. But if you're happy for them to sort of be knocked out, it's not too big an issue. So the No Hit Mercy is a big one. He does 350% crit damage, and he can do crits into your block. So you have to be really, really careful of that if he does hit into your block and it is a crit, he will do an absolute ton of damage. And then finally, he's got Heavy Assault. So obviously both champs do increased heavy attacks. Again, similar to the path, his are unstoppable, so that's something that you must be wary of, as you can see there. But the biggest issue I would say is don't get trapped in the corner, because obviously with the cruelty, if he hits into your block, he will do a ton of damage. You've also got to try and keep him to his SP2. This is his SP1. This is because his SP2 is when fighting with him, the main thing you want to do, say if you were using Masacre, is to hit into the block with your SP2. It does extra damage, as most of you guys know, so you've just got to keep him to his SP1, make him chuck that constantly. It's easy to dex and get out of the way of, but if he throws that SP2 with the cruelty and the increased block penetration, he will do a load of damage, so you've really got to try and keep him to that SP1. So you want to be bringing in champs like Doom to control it. That can help, but again, the biohazard is on here. Good champs to use here are Ultron was actually really good for this, but it was longer. If you wanted to quickly do this fight, then Omega Red really is your absolute ideal champ. He will be biohazard. He will also be able to not, like, you can't cleanse his spores, so that is also a massive thing. I would say he's probably the perfect counter for this one. It's maybe the perfect Omega Red fight. So he's definitely somebody I would bring in. You've also got any of your robots, as I said. Dragon Man would be really quite good for this one. So yeah, there's an absolute ton of options. That's going to do it for today's 8.2.4 video. Hopefully this video helped you out, and you're able to complete this path much easier now. Please leave a like and do subscribe if you're new around here. I would massively appreciate that. Trying to get to 600 subscribers now. We just got to 100, so I do massively appreciate all of your guys' support. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave you with the rest of this fight, and yeah, enjoy.